Hello, everyone. Welcome to another evening daily devotional with Pastor Angie. I cannot believe that we are this close to finishing up the book of Revelation, and I hope and pray that you have received so much insight and encouragement from the Lord as we have gone through chapter by chapter and unpacked some things for you. Again, we have just barely skimmed the surface of it. And again, people spend their entire lives dedicated to discovering the mysteries that are hidden within the book of Revelation. But my hope is just mainly that you wouldn't be scared of it anymore, mainly that you wouldn't just put it in your freezer and hide away and pretend like it's not there at the end of the Bible. My hope and my prayer is that you can realize and have full confidence in knowing that Revelation is simply encouragement to Christians that are in the midst of evil around them, feeling like all hope is lost. That the book of Revelation is written to the church back then, but the church today that is feeling oppressed and bogged down, anxious and worried about the future of what to come, and feeling like there is no hope. The book of Revelation reminds us that Jesus has defeated evil and that evil has a ticking timestamp on it, that evil doesn't get to flex his muscles for much longer. And so the battle of good and evil is something that I think is timeless. And not only can the church during the time that John wrote the letter of Revelation on the Isle of Patmos, not only could that church then resonate and really relate with the writings, but we can today too, because we go through oppression and we see evil every single day. And so tonight, I want us to read bits and pieces of Revelation 17 and 18. So I would ask that you would read all of Revelation chapter 17 and 18 at some point, and that you would maybe do it maybe by tomorrow. That would be nice. But there's so much, again, good imagery here, and it's strong. It's harsh, like all of the book of Revelation, because it is mirroring the harsh realities of oppression and injustice that is going on in the world today. And so remember that when you're like, oh, well, I don't like this because this isn't nice and clouds and sunny. Well, life, as we know, is really hard. And life is filled with lots of unhappy things. But the reality in it and the rawness in it and the authenticity and going, I see you and your struggles and where you're at, and I want you to know the truth of the gospel and the good news of Jesus, like that's powerful. That's so much more powerful than like a happy Jesus loves you little sticker, right? So Revelation chapter 17, the woman on the beast. One of the seven angels who had the seven bowls came and said to me, come, I will show you the punishment of the great prostitute who sits on many waters. With her the kings of the earth committed adultery, and the inhabitants of the earth were intoxicated with the wine of her adulteries. Then the angel carried me away in the spirit into a desert. There I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast that was covered with blasphemous names and had 7 heads and 10 horns. The woman was dressed in purple and scarlet and was glittering with gold, precious stones, and pearls. She had a golden cup on her head filled with abominable things and the filth of her adulteries. This title was written on her forehead: Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of prostitutes and of the abominations of the earth. I saw that the woman was drunk with the blood of the saints, the blood of those who bore testimony to Jesus. And then Revelation 18. After this, I saw an angel coming down from heaven, having great authority, and the earth was illuminated by his splendor. With a mighty voice, he shouted, Fallen, fallen is Babylon the Great. She has become a home for demons and a haunt for every evil spirit, a haunt for every unclean and detestable bird. For all the nations have drunk with the maddening wine of her adulteries. The kings of the earth committed adultery with her, and the merchants of the earth grew rich from her excessive luxuries. So I will stop right there. So the woman who's sitting on the scarlet beast is the emperor, or any person of power and great authority who is using their power for evil instead of good, who is drunk with power, and who has climbed to the top off of the backs of the oppressed, the marginalized, and the vulnerable. This is the person that has taken people for granted, that is full of pride and narcissism, that is evil to the core. And so John, most likely, was writing about the Emperor Nero. But the Emperor Domitian and Caesar were also the same. And the thing about the empire and the emperor is that you were either with them or you were dead. You were not against them. You were either with them or you were dead. And when I remember going to Rome and seeing the Colosseum and realizing, oh my gosh, not only were there crosses and people being crucified all over Rome for people who were going up against the Roman Empire and the emperor, but Christians would be fed to wild animals in the Colosseum. And there were persecution and so many Christians martyred for the sake of their faith. Because to follow the emperor was not just saying, oh yeah, I'm going to pay my taxes and all of that. No, that it was bowing down to idolatry. The emperor was God. The emperor, Nero, Domitian, Caesar, declared that they were God. And there were actually people, choirs, that followed them around saying, you are worthy, Lord and God, to receive honor and power, right? Which is so interesting that we see, again, that imagery and that word play of you are worthy, Lord, that you are the Lamb who was slain, right? So again, taking what these people knew and flipping it into a new chapter of life, a new vision and lens to see things. Jesus was the anti-emperor. Jesus was taking the empire and everything that it was, and it was throwing it out the window. Because the other thing about the empire and Babylon, which is Rome, most likely. So the woman sitting on the scarlet beast was the empire and emperor, right? That person of power who is oppressing the poor, who is instilling violence and evil acts all around the land, who is taking advantage of the marginalized and is not caring about anyone, again, and is getting drunk off of the blood and the persecution of those around them. That is the woman. And we all are very familiar with leaders like that. And then Babylon is Rome, which is filled with all kinds of immorality, but again, of pride, of idolatry, is farther than just nationalism, but this nationalistic idolatry of the empire is everything, and we will burn incense in the market to the emperor who is God because, well, we don't want to go against the emperor because we will die, and we don't want to be like those stupid Christians, right? So Revelation, remember, is resistance literature. It is a people of God that are resisting the powers and the principalities of evil that are oppressing us now and were oppressing us thousands of years ago. And so that is Babylon, and that is the woman that, yes, they are real. Yes, we can see them and we can feel them and we can experience them, but they are not forever. They are finite and they will fall. Just like the city of Babylon, the Roman Empire fell. Remember, great Rome fell, and that came to a collapse. And now we've got Wall Street, and we've got Washington, D.C., and we've got Hollywood, and we've got all of the powers and principalities now that aren't going to be able to rule and reign and oppress and enact evil forever. There will come a time where their day in the sun will be over. And so I want us to remember that for these people, when John was writing in Revelation, they truly were resisting with all that they had, and they believed not in Rome. which was, oh, we're going to Pax Romana, the peace of Rome. We're going to go around and oppress and enact violence everywhere we go, militaristic conquering. We want to conquer everything because it's all about us. We believe in Jesus and the peace of Christ, which was humility, which was true nonviolent peace, which was sacrificial love. That's radical, friends. That is a revelation and also a revolution of a bunch of people who are resisting evil in this world. And so I want us to really think about the images in Revelation 17 and 18 in particular with this woman and with Babylon. And I want us to think about how we see people in our own world today that are enacting power for good and utilizing their power for good things, to protect people, to advocate for people, to remember the least of these, to enact justice and mercy to the most vulnerable and at risk in our society. And then I want us to think about the people who are in power, who are doing the opposite of that, who are the modern day Neros or Domitians, Caesars. And they might not be saying you need to burn incense to me at the marketplace, but they aren't acting with justice, love, compassion, mercy, humility, and sacrificial love. So I love you all so much. And I pray that tomorrow when we study Revelation 19 and 20, it will be just as much of a blessing as the rest of our study on Revelation has been. Good night, and God bless you all.